Doctor Who, Story by Story. Fury from the Deep Review. Fury from the Deep is the name of a Doctor Who serial that was broadcast as the sixth story of the show's fifth season, aired from the 16th of March to the 20th of April 1968. It starred Patrick Troughton in his second season as the Second Doctor, accompanied by his companions, the Scottish Highlander Jamie, played by Fraser Hines, and Victorian-era girl Victoria, played by Deborah Watling. The serial was written by Victor Pemberton, who also served as script editor on the show for a while, and directed by Hugh David. Producing and script editing duties for this serial went to Peter Bryant and Derek Sherwin. Series veteran composer Dudley Simpson provided the score. Plot. The Doctor and his companions arrive near a gas refinery operating in the North Sea and are initially taken as saboteurs and the cause of strange happenings at the refinery. But the real culprit is a form of sentient alien seaweed that begins to possess members of the base's crew as a spearhead to a full-on invasion of Earth. Guest cast. The guest cast for this story is headed by Victor Madden as Robson, Madden being an English actor whose other credits include Caligula, The Dick Emery Show, and no less than 5 Carry On movies. Also appearing in Fury from the Deep is Margaret John as Megan Jones, John appearing in numerous TV shows such as The Troubleshooter, Softly Softly, and Blake 7. Playing Van Lutyен is John Abernethy, a recognisable cult favourite who also appeared in the Tom Baker story The Power of Kroll, and whose most famous role was probably as the human embodiment of the woodland spirit Herne the Hunter in the massively successful 80s sword and sorcery TV series Robin of Sherwood. Trivia. Not one full episode of Fury from the Deep exists in the BBC archive, with the story only represented visually by photos and a snippet of surviving film clips. However, the full audio of the serial exists, and in 2020 this was set to a full 6-episode animation that was released on DVD and Blu-ray. The serial was novelised by original writer Victor Pemberton, who had based Fury off of his own previous radio serial The Slide in 1986. Pemberton had also appeared as an actor in Season 4's The Moonbase. The serial marked the departure of Deborah Watling from the series. Reaction. Fury from the Deep rated between 6.9 and 8.2 million viewers across 6 episodes on transmission. Fury was and remains a fan favourite, often regarded as a classic by hardcore fans and made more accessible to many via the 2020 animation, although the animation itself has come in for some heavy criticism. What I think. Fury from the Deep is not a serial that, until recently, I had much to say about. I was aware of the story, of course, and I read the novelisation, the bumper volume Target book, back in the late 80s. But I had not read that book for nigh on 30 years, and I'd never listened to the soundtrack or watched telesnaps or anything along those lines. So it was one of those stories, and there are a handful of others, that I really have only a vague memory of the novelisation and not much knowledge of besides. So I was very much keen to see the animated version that was released in 2020. Now, earlier that year I had seen The Faceless Ones, which I'd kind of struggled with, and I've kind of struggled with some of the animations recently, having not been overly impressed by them. Fury from the Deep has gotten a lot of stick from the animation, but I have to be honest, I think Fury from the Deep is one of my absolute favourite of the animated versions of Missing Stories that we've had in the last 4, 5, 6 years. Some of these stories that have been animated, I have had to kind of stagger across several nights. I was honestly expecting to have to do that with Fury as well. Instead, I ended up watching the whole 6 episodes in one go because I found the stories so captivating, so gripping, and so enthralling. And while the animation style took perhaps a little bit of getting used to, I can't say I found it terrible or appalling, and it did the job it was supposed to do, which was to bring the story to some kind of visual life. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed Fury when I saw it in late 2020. I have not watched it again yet, though I am planning to do so later this year. But based on my initial viewing, and obviously, the animation can't represent what it actually was in the physical version. But as an animated story with the original soundtrack and the original cast voices, etc., I think Fury from the Deep deserves the fan praise that has been heaped upon it over the decades. I thought Fury from the Deep was an excellent story. I'm really looking forward to seeing it again, and I give it a straight A.